my mind.
Here with Park Stewart, he's the mystical voice that's coined both familiar and unfamiliar. He's performed with singers like Earl Klugh, Dennis Coffey, Ben Tankard, Dietrich Haddon, Commission, and John P. Key. His writing credits include vocalists like 112, Yolanda Adams, Dave Hollister, and the Commission. Now, it's interesting because I researched you like weeks ago, like when I started seeing you all over social media weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, this is somebody who's familiar. Like your voice is super duper familiar. So can you tell, I researched you so I know your background, but can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your humble beginnings?
Oh, wow. I've been doing this a long time. I started off, most of my notoriety came through writing for commission, arranging vocals, doing background, and I had 3 solo projects. And the sound that you hear emulating from Boyz II Men, Jodeci, Drew Hill, 112, all these groups, they got their influence from the group Commission. And so we are like the architects of that sound. And I was fortunate enough to work with the group Commission, Fred Hammond, Michael Brooks, my writing partner, Mitchell Jones, Carl Reed, Keith Staten, Marvin Sapp, Michael Williams, and even the ones that went on from there, so many. And just working with different people, and that led to other things like Cry On being placed on the tribute for Biggie, the Soul 3 Million, and Song in Blank Man, and the movie Blank Man. Just writing for Yolanda Adams, more than just a melody, Virtue. Me and John P. Key go way back. Just good people, and it was kind of like a brotherhood. We started young, we really didn't know what we were doing, but I came from the streets of Detroit. Humble beginnings. My father played all types of genre music, from jazz to R&B to country western to you name it, he played it. And at a young age, I just got hooked. And all those that came before me, like Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, Elder Barge, were all my influences, from all the Motown and Sam Cooke, just you name it, it played in my house. And I just somehow or another, all those influences are in the style that I have of writing and music. So it's like I'm just echoing the sounds of my forefathers and keeping it relevant in the present.
Okay, I love it. You have such a soothing voice, even just in conversation. And that's the embodiment of old school rhythm and blues, soul music. But when you started with the Commission, it was gospel. So why'd you take that route, and what led you to do spiritual music?
I had a writing partner. We grew up together. His name was Eric Bryce. He's a guitar player, played for Chaka Khan, Stephanie Mills, the Winans, the Clark sisters. He played for so many different people, and he went away, stayed in North Carolina for a couple of years over the summer, and he came back and he was like dope on the guitar, And we used to sit on my porch, and in my neighborhood, they had a bunch of bands around. In my neighborhood, we had people that played guitar, people that sang, and we were always just mesmerized by it. And when he came back, I was singing, and he said, we should record. And I started recording before I knew anything about Commission or anything. I was on the streets, and I went into church one day, and I liked the singing. And I was 19 years old, and got converted, gave my life to Christ, and I was writing gospel ever since. It's like the writing just opened up in me. It was like a gift that was there that I didn't know was there. And once I tapped into it, it's like it just blew me away, because it was like somebody else speaking through me. I would go in the studio and melodies would come to me. I call them melodies from heaven that lead to the expression of the soul. And I would go in the studio, and this thing would just come over, and it would be the spirit and the inspiration. And I found out I could write, and I can write a lot of songs a day, but I prefer to be inspired.
Mm.
I think music is more than just music. I think it's a movement. I think it's meant to deliver a message to people, to be uplifting, to help them express what they may not be able to express verbally. Maybe I can do that for them. I can address all issues and tap into the feelings of others and somehow or another have a positive impact on them. Uh, and that's all I try to do is be better, make people better, and introduce them to a God that can make us all better.
Okay. All right. Now you preaching the word. So this is my bonus question, but I'm gonna jump to this question. It's at the end, but I want to ask now. When you hear the word "spend some time," tell me what that means to you.
Oh, spend some time takes me back to my very first album. I did a song called "Spend Some Time," and every song that I've written has will speak to a time in my life of where I was,
Mhm.
or either someone that I know, but mostly me. I'd say about 85% me. And I thought about uh, how my life operated when I spent time in prayer and how my gift operates. It's like a film that goes over in your mind on and on. And when you feed it, the creativity flows. When you work against it or you contaminate it, it can be frustrating.
Mhm.
And it's almost like when you align yourself with what it was meant to be, spending quality time in my prayer and just being intimate with God. I'm an intimate person. You know, oftentimes I tell people intimacy, you know, intimacy. You know, if you're intimate with God, all relationships are priceless to me. I'm about relationship, whether it's woman to man, brother to brother, you know, family. I'm all about relationship, and I believe without intimacy is what we're lacking today. So spend some time was based around being intimate with God and being intimate with those around you, and never forget that you need to spend some time. I think the pandemic did that to us too.
Right.
Brought us back to what was important: relationships, quality time, which can't be bought back. You know, once time is gone, it's gone. And so what it did was it brought us back to the place of what's important and to remember what's priceless, and that's time and relationship.
All right now. So, as far as your writing credits, which song did you lend a hand creating that people may not know about?
Mm, wow, that's a tough one. I think that a lot of people don't know that I wrote Open Arms for Yolanda Adams.
Mhm.
Me and my good friend, I call him Charles, but his nickname is Hollywood. It's Charles Hollywood Harris. And we wrote that song together. And I just think that, I'm sorry, Aaron Lindsay. No, Open Arms, Open Arms, me and Holly. And More Than a Melody, me and Aaron Lindsay. But more than a melody, people pretty much know, but I don't think they knew a lot about Open Arms. Great song. And
Okay.
that was my co-writer on that. Mhm.
Well, you couldn't go wrong with Yolanda Adams on the vocals. Like if you wrote it and it was bomb, she sung the heck out of that song, okay?
Yolanda's she could sing anything. You know, I met Yolanda way back. I met her when she came up in Houston when she was before you all knew her as the Yolanda Adams. And
Mhm.
she came up one time for an event we were having in Detroit, and she heard someone else singing the song that I wrote, and she said, "Well, whose song is that? Where'd you get that from?" They said, "Well, Parks wrote it." And she started laughing. And she came over. We met the next day. She said, "I'm going to do that song," and she ended up doing it and doing it well. And mostly everything that I do is based on relationship. I know people, people here, and I just like to. I think when there's a good relationship, it spills over into the music.
Mhm.
So if you're fond of a person or you and that person have a genuine, pure relationship, then the performance of it will exemplify or represent that pureness. And that's what it was with you, Yolanda.
Okay. So you have standards when it comes down to writing music, or does it matter who sings your songs?
No, I have standards. I want to be represented a certain way.
Mhm.
I don't do a lot of things to deal with that deal with misogyny. You know, I'm trying to go the opposite way. I think our African queens should be respected as such and
Mhm.
addressed as such. And I think our kings should be the same way. And I'm just trying to make sure that even through expression of whatever people do, whatever they call it, if that's their expression, you know, they're entitled to that. But I also wanted to be known that I still believe that a woman wants to be treated like a woman.
Mm.
I still believe that a man wants to be respected as a man. I still believe we have gentlemen. I still believe we have sophisticated, classy, creative, intelligent Black women. And I just want to make sure that uh, my expression remains who I am and true to who I am, just authentic. And I don't want to do anything that's disingenuous when it comes to my character and what I represent.
Okay, I love that. So, and speaking of, tell me about your work now. And do you have your own record label?
I know I don't have my own record label. I'm on an independent label. My manager, uh, Ed Armstead, who
Mhm.
also has been my friend for over 30 years, we started off and I was independent before independent was popular
Mm.
because I wanted to take the middleman out because they were taking so much of our money. We weren't making any money. The
Right.
companies were making all the money. But I didn't have the resources to fit the genres that my music was going in. Uh, the genre was bigger than the budget that I had.
Mm.
But I learned a lot. It was like going to school. And then Ed uh, Armstead, he was in every facet of the record industry. He's been a promoter. He's a songwriter, producer himself. He's been on the radio end. He's been on every end. So one day he just said, you know what? Let's just do this. He said, I want to do this. He said, I want to take it because I know nobody's going to do it like I'm going to do it because no one knows you like I know you. He said, and the love we have as brothers, he said, I'm going to make sure that everything is done right. Let's get a label. Let's start it right and do it the right way. And
Mm.
so it's his label. It's called Eat Music. And his slogan is, if you're hungry for a melody, eat music. So it's called Eat Music Group. And that label was created actually for me, uh, just so we could work together. And we're kind of like that Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam. We've been tight. It's always been that way, and we push one another. So we might felt like we might as well do it together and trust God and see what happens.
And here we are.
Hmm.
So, speaking of which, K and Cool, tell me about that and what triggered that track.
K and Cool came about. I was actually in the studio doing a Christmas album, and I thought I was doing the first song of the Christmas album. And it was a funny thing because my manager Ed was telling me this was time when the Black Lives Matter and all the police brutality was at a height. And I said, he said, well, you're going to address those issues? I said, yeah, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to wait a little bit, a minute, and then I'll do it. He said, okay. So I went in the studio and we were doing a Christmas song, I thought. And when I went in, it just popped in my mind. And social injustice just popped in my mind. And that's saying, hey, man, we put the K in cool. We're the people with the swag. Crisis always bring out the best in us.
That's right.
African Americans will always, you give us a crisis, we'll show you creativity.
There you go.
And so when I looked at it, it came out and I came out the booth and I went to my manager, he looked at me in the eyes, he said, I already know you get ready to do a social injustice song. I said, yes, I am. And so with the K in cool is to remind us of what our swag, you know, how we are when we band together. And we're not a people, whenever we put our minds together, we're special and special things happen when special people get together. So it was to remind us that God had given us that swag and that we should put that special to use and keep doing special things. So much independence now. I want to see more unity. You know, everybody is an independent source. You know, I'm a boss. I'm a this. Everybody can be what they are, but can we come together collectively and let that movement be boss? You know, and that's what
Right.
I want. Uh-huh. So that's how that came about, babe.
Ah, spoken like a true creator. Okay. So, what inspired your latest single, Clear Your Mind?
The pandemic.
Mhm.
Uh, I have been talking to my manager again, and we was just talking. I said, it's time that I think we should hit the reset button. Take a pause, hit the reset button, reflect, see where we are, and really examine where we're going.
Mm.
Look at our history, because in history is his story. And if we find his story in our history, we'll figure out how we made it through these times when everybody looks at us and say, we oppress people with this, but somehow or another, we keep it selling. And so I look back and I said, man, you know what? We need to hit that reset button and see why we do what we do, what's important to us, what are our real values. And I went in the studio, and Terrell Turhan, who was the MD for the Four Tops, he was in there. His uncle wrote all these Motown hits for these late groups of the Four Tops, the Temps, anybody that was on Motown label. So he's a prodigy and a son through that bloodline. Very talented. And he did the track, and he said, "What you want to call it?" And it just came out of my mouth. I said, "I don't know, man. Call it Clear Your Mind." We didn't even have words. I just said, "Call it Clear Your Mind." And when I went in the booth to start singing, it just came to me. Let me clear your mind. Keep your mind stayed on me. And when it came, it just flowed. And about an hour and a half, we had a song.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bomb song, inspirational, but still soulful. So are you working on anything else? What other projects do you have out?
Oh, wow. I got a single coming. I can't tell you what the title is, but I can tell you it's going to be dealing with promoting Black women.
Mm.
It's going to deal with women of color and how diverse they are, how important they are, and what we think about them the right way as Black men. What they do, what they mean. You mentioned inspirational. You said it's inspirational, but it's soul. I believe everybody that's connected with a spiritual side will be a soul singer.
Mm.
When you hear Stevie Wonder, these three words, you hear soul.
Right.
You hear this certain song with Fantasia, when she sings, you hear soul. You feel it. And when you can feel that thing, that means soul is there. That means there's something in there that's gifted. And so I want to take that gift and show the gift of Black women to the world, and then show them how much we think about them and how they make us feel.
Okay.
And so that's what's coming in the next couple of months.
I'm gonna be looking for it too, okay?
Okay, I sure appreciate it.
So you mentioned before that you were in the group commission, and I researched it, and you'd sit around with other gospel favorites like Fred Hammond, BB, and Daniel Winans, where you just sit at the piano and kick it. Now, during those solo sessions, what's your favorite impromptu performance and what made it magical?
Wow. Impromptu. I think I'm going to go back to where before we all started actually recording, the Winans were recording, but Commission hadn't did their first album. And I was at the piano with Mitchell Jones, my writing buddy, who is a member of Commission, and Daniel Winans, who is, one of the famous Winans. And we're sitting around and we're going over songs, and Mitch was on the piano and I was singing, and I sung a song called Victory. And Daniel said, "Hey man, that's a great song." He said, "You write just like Peanut." Well, Peanut is Marvin Winans, but his nickname, we call him Peanut. But Pastor Marvin Winans, he said, "Man, you write just like Peanut." And I said, "Thank you, man." He said, "What y'all doing with that song?" I said, "Nothing yet." He said, "Man, I'm gonna take that song to Marvin. They doing their next album. We're gonna do that song." So Mitch took the song back to Commission the next day. They had their first album already coming out. And he told Fred, he said, "Hey man, we're gonna get this song to to Marvin Winans and the Winans. And Fred said, no, no. He said, man, we're going to do that on our next album. So, man, just hold back. Tell Price, man, we want to do it on the next album. And so we held the song and we did it on the next album. But I just thought that was strange that, you know, some of the greatest moments that you have are intimate, private moments where you make connections with other people. You know, I had met BB prior to meeting Daniel Winans. I met BB Winans at a university called Wayne State University. I would ride my bike when I was exercising and go down to this college and go in the room and play the piano. And I went in one day and BB was in there. I didn't know who he was and he didn't know me. And he was playing piano and he started singing and we started singing together. And I said, hey man, you sound a lot like, you know, the group, the Winans. So he said, these Winans? And he started playing Question Is, and he was playing it. And we laughed, and that was another special moment, a connection, you know, that you're making, not knowing where it's going to lead. He wasn't the BB Winans then. So I have a lot of those impromptu moments that lead to someone else. Like all these people that I'm mentioning, from BB to Fred to Daniel, the Winans, John P. Key, before John P. Key was John P. Key. We all were a close-knit, upcoming, talented group. We didn't know where we were going. We was just loving what we were doing and loving one another. And God blessed us to put that great music out, along with the Clarks, you know, so many Rants. You know, we was just one big group that loved one another. We looked up to those that were before us, you know, Thomas Whitfield, the Hawkins, Smallwood, you know, you name them. And then we kept it going. And now we're trying to leave a legacy and mentor those that are behind us.
Okay. And speaking of legacy, and I have two more questions. So this is the first day of Black History Month, though we create history every day.
Absolutely.
Out of your catalog, what would be the best representation for Black excellence?
For Black excellence. Black excellence. I have a song that was called My Soul Cries Out. And in that song, it talks about our history. It's like it's giving education. It talks about Martin Luther King. It talks about Malcolm X. It talks about certain singers. It talks about movements. And it says, gather around, people listen to me. Check your legacy. Respect your history. And then it goes on and says to me, I can't remember it all right now, but it's almost like a tribute to Black history without me knowing that that's what it was. I was just trying to send a message to my people to tell them again, be proud, know where you come from, and let's keep this legacy going. So I would say that with it. My Soul Cries Out. And it's on my album that's called Heart and Soul.
Okay, I love that. I love that you can remember your lyrics, okay?
Yeah, I could. That was some of it. I didn't read so many. I don't always remember all of it.
Well, you know, your catalog dates back from where we know to 1991, though I know you made music before then. So you're entitled to forget something, is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much.
So my last question is, where can viewers follow you, download your music, and stay up to what you have going on?
You can follow me. You go to eatmusicgroup.com, and everything that you need, this Park Stewart, will come up there. Just eatmusicgroup.com. Everything, all things Park Stewart will come up under that heading. And anything you need to know will be there. Of course, you know, I'm very, people say it all the time, I'm a very private person.
Aww.
I love people, but I'm a private person. And one reason why is because the industry we're in sometimes looks for the wrong thing. And so I have people that I want to protect. So I try to be as private as I can, but as sociable as I can with the things that I'm doing, you know?
Okay.
But for protection of my family and those that are around me, I don't want to put them in a position of something they have to respond to or something that, you know, negative this. And even though I know it's part of the business, if it's in my power to do it, I do it.
Okay. All right. right. You're very thoughtful. I like that. I do have one more question, and it's just basically geared towards what you just said. I mean, you know, your music is classic when you think about it being just authentic. It's authentic and it's not diluted, if that makes sense. When we think
Yeah.
about R&B today, is more instrumentals, dancing versus lyrics and lyricism. So how were you able to stay true to yourself? Was social media one of those things that allowed you to keep that creative control over your sound?
I think that the sound, if you, if when God gives a gift, that gift, if it's from God, it's eternal, it's everlasting. It'll always be relevant.
That's right.
And so when you tap into eternity, you transcend time. And so I feel like whenever I use my gift and tap into eternity, that the music will be timeless. The music will also speak to the heart of men and touch the souls of men, because it's a gift from God. So God's always relevant. So I believe long as I keep it, it was great that you said that, because I use those words all the time. I talk about being authentic versus being disingenuous. I talk about pureness versus being contaminated. When something is done in its purest form for what it was created to be, you will get those results and it'll be felt. That's where you get that soul expression. And so that was my endeavor, was to keep it pure from the heart and authentic, so that it would be felt by the listener more than with the ear, but with the heart, you know? And so it will move a man's soul and cause him to touch his being. When you touch that special place. And when you touch that special place, again, special people do special things. And that's what my endeavor was, to touch that which is special in people so they can go out and do special things.
Okay. All right. The creatives, this is for y'all. Okay. So thank you so much. You were a joy. I'm going to listen to your music. I mean, it's timeless. It's just like jazz. It'll never go out of style. So you can just listen to it. It's feel good music. It's not depressing. It's not, when we think about, I know you write songs geared towards creation, man, woman, and children, but it's not the type of music that's gonna make you feel some type of way in a bad way. Let's say that. So thank you so much. And I appreciate you for taking the time out. And the only thing that I have to say is keep creating.
Oh, and I want to thank you so much for having me. You were a joy. It was an honor and it was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Circumstance